discuss you guys' decision to franchise Alex Mack?
We put the transition tag on him. I think all options were open to us, and we looked at the CBA as far as what options were available there as far as wanting to get something done. We felt that was the best avenue for us to go. And to me, he's an outstanding player, and we want him to be a Cleveland Brown for a long time. And I think putting the thought behind it it will allow us the opportunity to potentially do that.
Coach, have you met with Alex? Have you guys personally sat down?
Yes.
What were those meetings like?
I felt it was important for him to get to know us as a coaching staff. So I went and saw him with Kyle Shanahan and Andy Moeller. Very informal sit down and here's the program. We didn't want to try to sign a guy lock him up to a long-term deal when he didn't have a good feel for who we were, for who I was, what I believed in, my core beliefs in running a program. If it didn't marry up to what he was looking for, then we would have felt comfortable with turning him loose. But it's something that we felt it was important for him to see who we were as people first, and then as football guys second. So that was we went out to visit him in California.
Did you come away feeling positive that Alex
had a great meeting? Okay. Had a great meeting with him. He'll speak better to what his opinion of it, but just from our view, from our side of the table, I thought it went very well.
And then T.J. Ward, you could only do one guy, so what does this future mean for T.J.?
I wouldn't read into it. It only eliminates the ability to have tagged him. I mean, he's an outstanding player, and he's a Cleveland Brown, and we'll make the decision for what's best for him moving forward.
Why was the call not a fit? You guys going forward, whether it's your system or whatever, and letting him go?
I think there were a lot of factors that went into it. And to me, we had long discussions about it, and we reached out to DeQuell and his agent, and just really couldn't come to a middle ground with kind of where we saw his role and where he saw his own role. And there was a situation where we felt, and he also felt as well, for us, it would be better for it to happen sooner than later. So he could, I mean, obviously he's a special NFL player. There's a lot of interest. I think he's maybe on his third visit right now. But we just felt it was something that was in everybody's best interest.
Tough guy to lose.
It is when you lose that type of leadership. I wasn't here, but that was one of the things that I think that a lot of people came to me and talked about, what an outstanding leader he was and a force in the locker room. And that's something that's sometimes hard to replace. And you can't ask guys to be leaders. You can't force guys to be leaders, and that's not something that we're going to do. We think, okay, now he's gone, we're going to make him a leader. You can't do that. But to me, that's also the role of coaches. If you don't have natural leadership in the locker room, then the coaches have to become that. So that's something that once the roster is assembled, that we'll see what's there from a leadership standpoint and act accordingly.
Coach, Juiceford was not franchised today by the Bills. I mean, can you say whether or not?
I really can't, because until the league year ends, he's a member of the Buffalo Bills.
You spend more time with Brian Hoyer even just today. Just talk more about what kind of quarterback you think he can be for you.
Well, again, it was such a small sample size last year of him playing. Unfortunately, it was in the Buffalo game. I was standing on the other side when I saw that happen. But to me, he flashed brilliance. I mean, he flashed that he could be a quality starter in the NFL. And again, just he's proven to everybody that what kind of intangibles he has, the work ethic by. He's in the building every day. He's a guy that whether he's getting his rehab in, he's in the lunchroom. I mean, you can see he is a gym rat. And when it comes to his rehab, that certainly applies as well.
What's that like? Because he's there. He's got to be there to rehab. I mean, we've talked to him. He said he sees you all the time. But you can't talk
sees me all the
football,
time, and
right?
we don't talk football.
Right. So
Let me make that clear. We don't talk football.
He knows more about your dog than your defense, essentially, right? I mean, just small talk, but that's it.
Yeah, and that's tough. That is the hard part of the new agreement. That essentially it's almost lockout type rules, where until we get to that date where the players can be in and we can actually sit down and show them film and get them on a board, that is a difficult thing. But again, it's great to see him in and just see him setting that example. Even some of the other guys are kind of trickling in and out. He's the one, I think, first in, last out, getting his rehab.
Coach, there was a report out there that Top Rubin might be next on the chopping block based on his $6.6 million salary. What are your feelings or thoughts about the top being on this team?
I think he's an outstanding player. And again, that's one area as a head coach where I'm in step with Ray, but when it comes to the financials, that's very difficult for me because my expert's not in accounting, it's not in the cap. I mean, that's something I'm learning as a head coach, but I think he's an outstanding football player. He's one of the better run defenders in the NFL, and he's a guy that we certainly want to be part of our roster.
Does he? You got a pretty good handle on this roster now. I mean, you've had some time to evaluate and take a look at things.
I do, but it's. I think our staff's very excited about it. I think there's a lot of pieces in place, but I also think we've realized that there are some areas where we need to add some depth, and that's why the amount of cap space that we have and the number of draft picks that we have is so appealing that I think we're going to be able to turn over and fill some of those spots in the rosters where we feel there might be some needs. We can fill them pretty quickly.
You have a lot of cap space. How would you, without obviously tipping your hand, how would you describe what your approach to free agency is going to be like in about a week or so from now?
Well, sometimes it's hard to say what the market will bear with a lot of players. You never want to be that team that kind of goes out there and is into those super big contracts day one. Again, having worked in Baltimore under Ozzie Newsome, it was always right player, right price, and I think those two things have to go hand in hand. You can find the right player, but you don't want to overpay for it. You can have the right price, but if it's the wrong player, it doesn't work. So I think that the staff's done an outstanding job working in conjunction with Ray and his staff as far as identifying those targets in free agency, and I think being pretty primed and ready to go for it.
Hey, Mike, going back to Ruben real quick, would he have to restructure to be able to stick around?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
And I know his agent came out and made that statement, but that's I don't see that. I mean, the restructuring is something that certainly could happen, but it doesn't have to happen.
Hey, Mike, back to Alex Mack for 1 second. When did that meeting take place?
This past weekend.
This past weekend. Did you get any feedback from whether it's Joe Thomas or anybody else, any other veterans, about keeping a guy and the importance of that cohesiveness, especially on that defensive line?
I did get a chance to visit with Joe when he was in the building. Just also knowing that he was a team leader, I wanted to sit down with him and just kind of talk him through and get him to know me, not get into specific football stuff, but just get a feel for me as a head coach and kind of what my philosophy was and where I was coming from and some things. And I think maybe a positive byproduct of that he was maybe to convey some of that to Alex as well, and then I was able to go out and do it in person.
Hey, Mike, when you're obviously in your role as a defensive coordinator the past 5 years studying offenses, what did you think of how Alex Mack stacked up against other centers in the league when
he's outstanding. He really is. He's one of the better centers in the National Football League.
When it comes to T.J. Ward, if T.J. Ward walks in free agency, do you feel good about your contingency plans at that position?
Again, we have a plan for it. There's kind of different tiers of free agency. You look at there's a lot of different ways, and to me there's a lot of cause and effect things. If we spend this much at, let's say, corner, then that's going to affect our strategy at safety. If safety comes through the way we see it coming through, then that's going to affect. There's a ripple effect throughout it. So there's an endless number of combinations, and a lot of it sometimes goes on how it originally starts, how the contracts fall, what our competition is. Once the first one goes, then that might have a chain reaction throughout. So those are the kind of scenarios that you almost just kind of sitting around just brainstorming, what if, and that kind of prepares you for game day, for lack of a better phrase, when the free agency hits.
Are you guys in the process? Are you guys in the process right now of negotiating a long-term deal with T.J. Ward?
Yeah, I won't speak on contract negotiations. That's a policy of Ray's, and I believe in that too.
I know you've been talking a lot of football for the last 2 months or whatever. How anxious are you?
Not enough football.
How anxious though are you to get your hands on some guys and get out on the field and get the X's and O's part of it going?
No, that's the one thing that's tough as a coach. You get in and to me, coaching is being around the players, and to me that's the best part of coaching is being around the players. And April 7th can't come fast enough.
You've had a lot happen already since you've been here in this short time.
You think?
Have things settled down, or have they always been settled for you?
I can't tell that lie and say that they've always been settled, but I don't think it's anything that can't be handled. Especially now, I think now that we've gotten past the combine and completed our objectives there, and have a pretty good plan moving forward between now and free agency, and then working towards getting the players in, and starting to get excited about the draft. The combine kind of gets you juiced up about that. You get access to those players, you get to interview them, see them on the field. it's an exciting time. We got a lot on our plate, but I think we have just the staff to handle it.
So what was your impression of Johnny Manziel then when you talked to him at the Combine?
We didn't speak to him at the Combine. I didn't personally. He was not part of the formal interviews. But I think as we go through, and not to talk about a specific guy, but as we evaluate those positions, that we'll make sure that whatever access we need to get to that player and have interaction with him, we'll make sure we get that done.
All right, thanks, guys.
Do you
Thanks, everybody.
anticipate going after like one or two of those big name first wave free agents, that first day guy?
I really can't speak to that. Just that's more of a strategic thing. But I do know, given our space, I think that all options are on the table for us.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.